Question for the table. Should a 40-year-old be allowed to purchase 18-year-olds of content? If yes, why can't they be in a relationship?
Yes, they should. That's their choice as long as they're providing the
What's that?
consent.
Watching table question.
Yeah.
Watching online content has nothing to do with building a life with someone.
If
Huge difference.
What if you don't want to build a life? You just want to date them for fun?
Okay,
is it
same
predatory
thing. You're
to
still
watch
implicating
it?
Wait,
yourself.
question-
You're still putting these two lives together, and
For the woman who's actually against the age gap relationships for you, what would you prefer to see for an 18-year-old woman? For her to, in her sexual empowerment, to be a sex worker, and the men who are procuring her services, say they are in their 30s or 40s or 50s, or for her to be in a loving monogamous relationship with a man who's 10 or 15 years older than her? Which of the two would you prefer to see? Or is less predatory?
I think that the sex worker would be in a less predatory situation, but I don't necessarily believe that all 18-year-olds should be sex workers, right?
That's not what I'm asking, but-
I know, but that question is kind of unfair to my ideology and like what I believe.
Okay, well, let me rephrase it a different way. Let's say that you had a best friend, okay, that you grew up with, and she hits 18, and she's told you her whole life all she wants to do is be a stay-at-home mom. That's it. She wants to start having kids the second she can. She's done with high school. That's her fucking dream, man.
Okay.
You live in a small town, okay? And she's coming to you for advice, and she sits down with you, and she's like, look, I've looked around, and all the guys who are around my same age, they're all fucking fuckboys. They're just out there having sex with everyone. They don't want to settle down, right? What a bunch of fuckers. They don't have any jobs really, and they have no real prospects. But Chuck over there is 31, and he's handsome, and he wants a wife, and he wants to give me my babies, and he's going to take care of me forever, right? What do you think? What would you advise her to do? Would you advise her to A, fuck your dream, hook up with the fuck boys, right? Or would you advise her, you know what? You should probably marry Chuck if that's what your dream is.
I wouldn't advise her to play with the fuckboys.
Of course not.
I don't think that's going to bring her any kind of joy or happiness. But I wouldn't be encouraging her to get married right away either.
No, but that's what she wants. That's her dream. That's all she's wanted.
If she was my friend, I would advise her, like, date this man for at least a couple years before you get engaged.
So therefore, date older man, much older man. So therefore, age gap gone.
But again, for me...
So hang on. So you would advise her to date the much older man, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, back to my the original reason I am against age gap relationships isn't necessarily in laying the choice and the power of the younger person. I believe it's the responsibility of the older person to not date somebody inappropriately younger than them.
Yeah, but hang on. Do you see the problem though? If you're giving her the advice to date him, right? Then you're basically ceding to the fact that the reason she wants to is because he's more powerful, more wise, has more money, is more established, is all of those things that she's looking for in order to have a family at that young of an age. So if you're advising her to do that, you're ceding that she needs to be in a dynamic where the more powerful guy has all the leverage in order to achieve what she wants.
You gave me two choices.
Yes, that's correct.
If I actually had a choice in the matter, I would advise her to just wait. I would say wait. I would say...
So wait, so crush your dreams. You're going to crush your best friend's dreams.
You don't have to crush your dreams.
Not all men are what you described as well.
Dating is
just in her local area they are.
Oh, that's not true to real life.
No, yeah, that's real true to real life.
There's not one.
In the local area, let's say the local area, it's like population 6,000.
I used to date older men, and my more mature, kind ones were the ones that ended up being closer to
Were
my
you in a
age.
massive city? Probably.
Define massive.
Big
Yeah,
urban,
massive.
a big
I live in San
sprawling
Diego.
urban population somewhere.
Yeah, I live in San Diego.
Okay, huge, massive fucking city, San Diego. So the thing is like,
relative.
if you're talking about population
You can also
7,000.
leave your town and not just settle. But
True,
sure,
but perhaps you have other responsibilities in your town. Perhaps mom is sick, or perhaps you don't want to move away from your family. Perhaps you love the small town life. You just want to have some babies. Right?
Yeah, isn't she a loser for wanting those?
Is she some kind of piece of shit for wanting that?
What a boring bitch.
And if she marries this guy, and starts having the babies, what the fuck did she do wrong?
I think she's at a higher risk of being taken advantage of or manipulated or abused.
See,
that is my main argument with age gap relationships.
This to me feels backwards, because it would seem to me that if she was out partying with the fuckboys, her chances of like getting SA'd, her chances
But
of
I'm
getting...
not arguing for that either.
Yeah, but...
I'm not arguing for her to go fuck the fuckboys.
But here's the thing. If she's dating people around her own age, and they're fuckboys, because most men...
I mean, you're assuming
like,
that.
Are you saying right now that most men in their 18 to 20s are not like playing the field a bit?
Yeah, sure, they're playing the field, but I'm not going to categorize 18 to 25-year-olds as fuckboys, because there's plenty of
not
mature people that age.
I do have to move on.
Okay, I'm saying that they're playing the field. That's the point.
My only other thing to you is about the age gap is if men were only attracted to older, financially stable, educated women, how many people would be on this earth? And then second of all, who would buy your OnlyFans if that was their requirement for attraction?
Okay, again, I'm not advocating for men to like marry older women or something like that. It's, again, my main gripe with age gap relationships is when an older person, regardless of their gender, dates somebody, 15 years plus younger than them. That's my like gripe with it, because there is a natural power imbalance, and when you get into like a marriage, there can be a lot of abuse, both mentally, emotionally, physically. I've been on Reddit for like over 15 years.
Yeah, that's your first problem.
No, but Reddit has a lot of different subreddits, right?
Oh, God.
And they're mostly full of fucking crazy lunatics who make shit up.
They don't go outside.
No, there's actually a varied amount of people. There's red pill people, there's liberal people.
There's like nobody.
And there's people making shit up all the time.
Okay, and a lot of the made up stories get called out in the comments, because you can there's tells that you can find when there's made up stories.
I think we would all like love your point more if your point also included
you're
sex
like
workers.
Redditor 2384 who's like, hey,
I'm speaking on everyone.
it's like Redditor 1846 who's like, hey, age gap relationships are bad.
If a woman is 21 and she's a sex worker, she could consent to having a 50-year-old
She's not involved,
client.
But we're not talking about a romantic relationship.
She's not
I'm
involving
talking
herself
about age gap
emotionally.
relationships
A
with
sexual
romance
and or
not
romantic
professional.
relationship. They're still being chivalrous to you. They're still being men.
No.
You're exposing
No.
your body
Doesn't
to
need to
them.
be romantic.
You
No,
are
doesn't have to
putting
be romantic
yourself
or chivalrous.
into you are I'm not saying romantic. I know your sex work isn't romantic, dude. What I'm trying to say is you are regardless still
If you pay
putting
enough.
yourself into a vulnerable position in front of these older men. It doesn't matter that you're a sex worker. It doesn't make you smarter. It didn't build your brain. It didn't turn you 25. That man is still taking advantage of you under these guidelines of age.
There's special sex worker pixie dust that they sprinkle on a 22-year-old.
No,
They're like, here's some sex worker pixie dust.
The interaction and the complication of that relationship is going from zero. There's like so little complication in a professional interaction like that, which in some cases is zero interaction because they're just buying a video online.
Yeah, but you're missing.
That's not affecting you other than your wallet.
That's the point that you're missing, though.
Being in a real relationship affects you.
The point,
in every
Yes. So if it's they're coming back to the 21 and 45-year-olds.
Here, I'll show you. Well, her argument is at 22, if you're a prostitute, there's not sex worker pixie dust that's just sprinkled on you that suddenly makes you super competent in even having chosen to be a sex worker to begin with. How can you be competent enough to choose what man's penis gets to enter you for money, but you're not competent to but you're not competent enough to choose which one can take you out to fucking dinner? That's insane to me. That's literally fucking crazy.
It's not taking out to dinner. It's forming a whole relationship.
It's crazy to trust a man that you just met over a man that you've been dating for a longer time. What if it's their kink to be in an age gap relationship? Like clients,
we don't trust them.
Like, what's the
We
difference?
don't trust them.
Good,
We
then
don't
say
trust them,
that.
and we get there.
But you guys keep going.
We build trust.
Okay, so
over
does
time.
a relationship. Does that
That's building a relationship.
And it's
I
also
built trust in a relationship that turned
Also-
around and fucked my life up.
a friendship.
I
is a
also want to
relationship.
clarify, like, are we, because when we're talking about the 21-year-old sex worker and the 45-year-old man, are we talking about a dom or are we talking about an OnlyFans
We're just talking
model?
about a
Are we
guy who's
talking
paying a
about
chick money to sleep with her.
Men
Can I finish
lie.
my sentence? Or are we talking about a professional
A hooker.
A prostitute.
Let's just
because
say a
those
hooker.
are all very different things.
Let's just say a hooker.
Okay, so the hooker is having what? One sexual experience with this 45-year-old man, and then he leaves
Oh
her
no,
life.
no, she has routine sexual experiences with him because he really likes
Okay,
it.
so
either a
we're talking about a
client
regular
or
client,
he's a random
that's spending-
man that you should
that's
not
spending-
trust.
That's spending at least what? Maybe 2 hours max with her.
And
2 to
plus,
3 hours a
as the
week.
provider, you are in control
Yeah.
of that scenario with that older
But
man.
do you
You are the
see-
one
Yes.
in control.
Yes.
So that control imbalance gets completely swapped.
Shifted.
But you're looking at it backwards. So again, let me give you the argument. The argument is not whether or not this 45-year-old, you're seeing him less than if you were dating him. The argument is, how are you at 21 or 22? How do I assume that you have the capacity to let a 45-year-old
You may
man
not.
come and give you hundreds of dollars to fuck you, but I don't think you have the capacity to choose to date him? That is
I'm not
mind-bogglingly
saying you
fucking
don't have
crazy
the
to me.
capacity to choose to date him.
Exactly.
Again, I'm going to repeat myself for the
Exactly.
5th time.
Fifth, yeah.
It is in the responsibility of the older person, regardless of their gender, to not date somebody inappropriately, like younger than them. You keep putting the power
he can
back
fuck
and the
'em.
choice back into the younger person.
Yes.
But I don't think that it's up to the younger person to be like, oh, am I mature enough to date
Is there
this
anything
person?
wrong with that 45-year-old man fucking that 22-year-old?
That's a professional. It's
Even if it wasn't
Talking about
professional.
professionally or
Even if
not
it's not
professional?
professionally.
Is there anything wrong with it? There might be some shit wrong with it.
there's
Yeah.
any emotional
there
connection
might be some
even
shit wrong with it.
between
Yeah,
that?
What?
we're not
What's wrong with it?
disputing that.
What is it?
She may not be at that professional level to be making that choice. But
So we're
but
back to
she's
magical
there.
hooker pixie
but
dust.
She's there. She's there.
We just
and that
keep on going
might-
back
It's
to
not
magical hooker
magical.
pixie dust.
interrupting,
Pixie
and that
dust.
might implicate her, and that might cause some shit to go down. But that's also life, and she will learn from that situation.
I think you can have boundaries
She can
in your
learn
sex
from
work.
an age gap
Yes.
relationship.
yeah,
and
again, there's nothing.
They can be respected,
wrong
and you
with
can
that,
work
exactly.
with them.
I didn't.
Yeah.
There's.
But
There's-
you also have
depends on it.
boundaries in relationships,
Yes.
and people
There's no-
I can
have to
at least
respect
accept
them,
consent to that.
right?
I can at least accept that when you caveat it and say there could be something wrong with
Yeah.
it. Sure. I'm always willing to take the caveat that some age gap relationships are going to be bad. I just want that caveat to extend to all relationships.
It does.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing inherently about the age gap that's bad. That's the point.
I wasn't against the age gap.
I know, which is why I wasn't arguing
there are
with you.
certain things- but
You
there
kept
are
jumping in to
certain
argue with me.
things- No, because there are certain things that I do agree with her point. I'm just not anti-age gap,
Right.
like as a whole.
For those reasons, which makes sense.
I mean, not exactly. I just think that we have a free choice, and whether or not it ends up panning out well for us is another story.
Agreed. I agree with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
There was never any disagreement on that.
No, yeah.
The disagreement was only on this side.
I do also want to add that as a femdom, if you're a 21-year-old femdom, it's not like you just decide one day, I'm a pro now, I'm going to have all these sessions. No, it's something that you do have to educate yourself on. You do have to have some experience. Otherwise, you are potentially putting someone in danger.
Okay, but isn't it the case that would be the same thing with dating? That you're going to need experience, and experience over time is going to lead you to making better choices?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Which is exactly why I'm against age gap relationships, because of the experience.
Yeah, but thing is like a 30-year-old man can have as little dating experience as a 22-year-old woman.
True.
So,
That's
you know,
possible.
like, to me, it's so silly because you're not actually saying there's a
Figured
problem
out.
with the age gap. You just look at other contributing factors which could be present in any relationship and then pointing to it as though in an age gap that's assured. And
It
that
is.
it's not.
It is.
What thing is assured in an age gap no matter what that would not
That the
be
older
hang on,
person-
stop.
Okay.
What would be assured in an age gap no matter what that would not be assured by people who, you know, are the same exact age, in fact, who are dating? What would be assured?
Wait, I'm sorry.
What would be a thing where this person's 15 years older, so it's 100% certain that it will be this way, that will not be present in a same age relationship?
Probably income.
Not probably. What will be?
Emotional maturity. Income and emotional maturity.
Neither of those things are assured in an age gap relationship, are they?
you naturally have more negative and positive life experiences as an older person that you learn
Hang on,
from.
but that doesn't mean you're more experienced. And so this is the problem, right? It's like you cannot assure me that in an age gap relationship, those factors will not be there any more than you can assure me they will be there in a same age relationship. So it's always pointing to, if these factors are there, it's bad. I would just argue back, sure, but if they're there for same age, it's also bad, right?
Sure, but it's worse in an age
All
gap.
right, let's maybe involve some other people here. And only one chat came through, so
Crusader Joe donated
looks like.
$100.
So we're back to
These
200
those want to
now.
have their cake and eat it too. Freedom to sell sex/vote/ etc. But force men away from younger women unruined by sex work and feminism.
Thank you, Crusader
They're just
Joe.
eating their own.
I appreciate it. Based raw diet girl helping out with the Chloe